All right, looks like we're live here. We'll give it a couple of seconds to make sure everything's kicked in. It's good to see you again, bud.
Yeah, you too.
Long time no see. All right, I think we've given it about 25 seconds or so, so we can go ahead and start. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Welcome to our webinar, 2025 Success. The idea is smarter automated testing in D365 F&O for this year of 2025. My name's Jacob Davis. I work with X Plus, and particularly I focus on as a customer success manager for our suite of tools called Executive Automats that, of course, originally started, as a lot of you already know, as a test automation tool. And now we've got, of course, several other let's say products that integrate with that and can be used as well to help manage your Dynamics environment. Today I'm joined with my good friend Pavel Wozniak. He's also been with us working in the automation department for about 7 years now. And so he'll be here to share his insights of what he's experienced as well. And our goal for today is really just to share with you what the current environment is of Dynamics, what we think is probably going to happen in the very near future according to what we're doing and what we're seeing in the market, and then also share with you ideas as to how to have more effective automated testing specifically over the year whenever you're doing your one version, Microsoft one version updates and so forth. So Pavel, I think I really appreciate you and joining me today to do this. But if you have anything else to add, introduce yourself. That's also now would be the time to do it, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, hello everyone. I think some of you may know me already. Yeah, I work as a product evangelist, so yeah, I'm involved with every product that X Plus is producing. So today we have some interesting things for you guys. So stay tuned.
Yeah. And moving into the agenda. As I mentioned, we'll start off talking about the current landscape. And give a little overview of Microsoft Dynamics. Of course, everybody here probably already knows a good bit about it, but we'll touch on that a little bit. More specifically, we'll focus on some of the challenges that we see in the current environment. Again, specifically with regards to testing, among other things, but mostly regarding testing. Then we'll talk about the future of testing. We actually, Pavel and I just hung out over the weekend. We went out to the forest here. We're both in Poland and went to the national forest. And it's so funny seeing two guys like me and you just walking around the forest talking about testing and AI. We're
Yeah,
nerds. It's okay.
nice. Yeah, for sure.
But we'll share some of that with you guys as well. Of course, we have our testing tool, Executive Automats, and then the suite that's developed around that as well. And so we'll talk about how you can leverage that for better testing this year for you guys. Best practices, we'll talk about demonstration of our upcoming 5.0 release for our testing tool. We've been around forever, so we've got already 5.0 version coming out. Really nice stuff to see there. And the idea of the day in a life in testing, you'll talk about that a little bit. Of course, stick around. We'll have a Q&A session at the end, so you can ask questions. We're happy to answer them. We've got the chat turned on, so you can make comments, etc. And we'll probably wait until the end. We won't be answering them as we go along, but at the end of it, we'll try to gather these questions. And if we don't get to your specific question, of course, we'll be able to reach out to you afterwards and answer that question for you. So that's pretty much what the agenda looks like. So now the fun part, Pavel, jumping into it. The current landscape of Microsoft Dynamics. Everybody already knows what Dynamics 365 is. If they're here, for sure they already know about that. Let's briefly touch on some of these things. Comprehensive capabilities. I think integration is a key part to talk about. Scalability across industries, and then operational efficiency. And I know that you and I both have a special part in our heart for compliance and risk management as well. So let's start with point one here: comprehensive capabilities and integration when it comes to Microsoft Dynamics. What are your key aspects, key thoughts on that?
Yeah, so um, Yeah, you already mentioned that probably everyone knows what is Dynamics and how it works. But if you think about Dynamics like 7 years ago, 6 years ago, and look at it right now, you can see that it changed a lot. We have WMS module, and now we will have improved security module as well. So Dynamics is changing a lot. Of course, right now at the current shape, we can do all the financial operations inside Dynamics, all the production operations also inside Dynamics. And Dynamics is evolving, and this will have the consequence in testing. And at the next slide, we will tell you more about what are the challenges with all those changes are for the testing team and testing test managers. Yeah, but what we can see a lot in Dynamics these days, that Dynamics is going really into the integrations. So first of all, we have different Dynamics environments like customer engagement, cloud point of service, also finance and operations, of course, and many more. Of course, the whole D365, Office D365 tools, which are also integrating with Dynamics. So all those things, they are really a big deal for the testing teams. You probably know as a customer success manager that I think there is no customer without any integrations these days. Each time when I speak with customers, they have at least one other application that Dynamics, which is integrated with Dynamics. So I think this won't change. It will only go further. There will be more tools in the market, which will help us in daily base activities. So people will want to integrate those, and Dynamics will integrate different tools and features together as well. So this is the challenge for testing teams. And I think this is the biggest challenge. Right now.
And we know about one of those integrations that's upcoming, actually, is our security tool for setting up security permissions. It's going to be integrated into the actual, it'll be a main part or a standard part of Dynamics coming up soon. So, scalability and adaptability across industries. This is quite similar, actually, to what we were just talking about with integrations. It's going to expand. Definitely, companies aren't just going to use it for their main headquarters. It's going to be rolled out to their other entities. You're going to have flexible deployment options, so it can be on-prem or it can be in the cloud, SaaS version.
Or hybrid.
Exactly.
We can see a lot of hybrid solutions as well, where one application is on-prem, one is on cloud, or there are two instances, one on-prem, one on cloud. Both of them, they need testing as well. So these are the very nice options for the users, but for the test managers, from the testing perspective, it gives you more and more challenges.
Yeah, exactly. Next point, to focus on innovation and operational efficiency. It wouldn't be any kind of IT type of webinar if AI wasn't mentioned here. We know. Right. That's happening, people. It's going to be part of Dynamics. It'll be expanding in many different avenues that you can't even imagine at the moment, myself included in that. But AI-driven insights, I know that we are also incorporating that into what we are doing with our testing tools and our other business process optimization tools and things like that. So we'll talk about that later, I think, so we don't have to touch on that too much. Same thing with streamlined business processes. That's another thing that we're going to see an increased focus on.
Yeah, I would just mention that, of course, Copilot will be now introduced inside Dynamics. And especially at the very beginning, we will probably test how it works. So prepare some tests to see if it works as as intended. There is not that big trust into all the AI things right now, but it will change, I think, and we will see AI everywhere, especially this year. Last news about the US investment into AI. So we will only see
Yeah.
the increase in AI things around us, and then it will affect, of course, dynamics and our testing of this dynamics, right?
Yeah. And the idea is it'll be challenging, but there will be plenty of opportunities as well inside of it. So, last point then, regulatory compliance, risk management. Um, you and I, we got a special place in our heart for this with our tool that we have here at Executive Automats for security setup, but also when it comes to let's say SOX compliance and similar things around the world. Um, Comprehensive compliance framework, you can utilize test automation to help out with that. So I think, Pavo, you'll probably show or give some indication of that. We'll have some live demonstrations later
Yeah,
and
what
talk
we
about
can
that.
see that Dynamics is changing that way, right? The
Yeah,
introduction
yep,
of our security tool is a part of it, right? Now
exactly.
Dynamics will make SOX compliance easier, but other compliance are similar to SOX. So
Yep,
yeah, this is the huge step from Microsoft side into making life easier for all the regulated markets and
yeah.
regulatory standards.
A big part of doing business is making sure you're doing it legally, right? So, awesome. So, testing challenges, and as a lot of people say, challenges are just opportunities. Um, we've got robust testing frameworks and continuous testing. Uh, Talk to me about what those mean and some of the things that in 2025 you have to have in place in order to have a successful testing plan. Yeah.
Yeah, so at the current situation, we still can see companies that are not testing or testing manually. So I think with all the changes upcoming and the tempo that the changes to Dynamics and the other solutions are implemented, it requires us to have testing framework, testing strategy that gets the full picture of our landscape of applications, because we mentioned the integration. So if we want to test Dynamics, we need to think about with which application Dynamics integrates. So this testing framework should be established, and it should be maintained, right? So we should create a strategy, establish it to all the parties that are involved in the testing process, and we need to make sure that our strategy covers our testing needs.
Yeah.
So it is crucial to at least have some kind of framework, some kind of strategy with the objectives, with the communication paths within it.
Yep.
So all the parties are communicated when we do the testing, especially when we have a lot of teams working together on different applications with different integrations. So I think this testing frameworks, it is already quite a standard on the market, but it will only increase in 2025.
Yeah. Automated regression and agile testing. So I think flexible testing we've talked a good bit about just now. Um, yeah, you're going to have to do with one version. You're going to have to be continuously testing, as you saw in the point before. Um, However, your regression tests, they have to be flexible, needs to be modified and maintained over time. So speak to those points a little bit about with regression testing, mm, how
Yes.
how can you make it more flexible? Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, so yeah, it all again depends on our strategy where we define the tools. So first of all, we should start with good testing tools.
Hmm.
So we should have a tool that allows us to cover as much as we can from our regression. So we can have the biggest coverage that possibly we can have. Of course, the 100 of coverage is like infinite. We can add test cases, add more tests all the time, but without test automation, I think it is hard to keep the tempo of one version with this much user involvement in manual testing. So I think as a challenge for many companies, it would be to switch to test automation and to have tools that allows you to test as much as you can, quickly modify your testing scripts, test automation scripts, allows you to test different applications at different occasions, different types of testing as well. Because this one version tempo requires you to take at least 2 updates in a year, but still we need to count all the integrations updates, in-house developments, bug fixes. So we can say that when we think about Dynamics, it might look like we need constantly testing. So that's why the test automation is the only option. But one thing, what is important, we should be agile not only in our scripts, in our test cases, we should be agile also on our framework. So we need to keep up with all the changes that are introduced to Dynamics. We can see AI, we can see automation within the Dynamics, new modules upcoming. So we should retailor our testing strategy, testing framework also to keep the tempo.
Yeah, and that's actually exactly why in the next slide we'll talk about what we think the future of testing looks like. Before we get there, though, so two other things really that I want to touch on. Performance testing as an idea. I think this is something that customers tend to underappreciate. Yeah. Why should a customer really make it in their head, we need to do performance testing?
Of course, the first thing is that we should validate the production environment proposal from Microsoft, and Microsoft requires us to verify the environment before we go live. So that's because it is easier for them to scale up the environment, the machines where the environment is before we go live. We start using Dynamics to do our operations, because later on it gets harder to upscale, to make any changes to Dynamics. So that's the first point. But I can see that performance testing is getting more and more interest on the market. We can see more customers interested in performance testing, especially because companies, they want to be prepared. There are things like triggers for the performance testing, or events that triggers performance testing, and it can be the Black Friday. So we expect that we will have huge increase of sales at some period of time. So if we want to test it and something will break at the very hot period like Black Friday, first of all, we will lose all this sale when our Dynamics will shut it down and we don't know why it is not working. First of all, we lose all this expected sales that we could have at the Black Friday or Cyber Monday or things like that. And second, the regular operations, they are blocked when something goes wrong with the performance of Dynamics. So again, it may lead us to some costs, so to some problems. So it is always better to check first than have the problems later. So I think the companies are starting to see that, and they want to be prepared for different occasions. We had very nice project in Africa. They have something they call the heat wave, when this customer is the bottler, so they are selling the soft drinks, right? So when the heat wave hits the Africa, they have huge increase of sales. So they
Yeah.
needed to be prepared for this upcoming event. So that's why they did performance testing with us. So they had very nice results. First of all, they were prepared for this event. That's the first thing. But also they could improve dynamics
Yep.
for good because they changed things that they stayed with them, not only for this period of time, but later on. So at the end of the day, for users, it will end up with faster and more smooth
Yeah.
system.
Yeah. Absolutely. I know this next topic, we were talking about it over the weekend, user acceptance testing. This is something that I think you and I are both a little bit worried that customers are thinking about moving away from having actual real people take a look at processes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So expand on that. You explained it really well to me when we were hiking around.
Yeah, so we even have a question on the chat, as you can see. Do we need end users for UAT testing, or we test UAT automatically? Yeah, and those questions are going back and
Valid.
forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and many customers, they want to automate user acceptance testing, and I'm not the fan of it because for me, I would like to know what my users think about the system and what my users feel in the system when they need to work with it, when they are testing some processes with their own eyes, with their own hands. They can see things that might work, but they are not user friendly. They are not convenient to use. So I think that user acceptance testing shouldn't be done only after go live, just after go live, but user acceptance testing should be part of our framework as well, at least at some point. That if we introduce some modifications, some new features, or Microsoft release some new features, and we want to check how they work, we should use help of end users to verify that, because they have the knowledge and they will use the system at the end of the day. So system is more for them, not for us. So we could benefit with it.
Yeah.
For instance, we can do some process optimization about the results from UAT testing. Our users may tell us, okay, system works, but not in the optimized way. It takes too long to do something, or some things are popping on the screen which are annoying, or some warnings are happening. So I am a fan of user acceptance testing. And Adri, if I would answer you, do not automate user acceptance testing. Automate your regression, smoke testing, performance testing, but let end users check how system is usable for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, of course, there are ways that automation can be used to assist with that. For example, it can be used to populate DevOps test plans with a list of steps and test cases that need to be tried by end users.
Yeah, or we can use executive automats to create documentation for the processes.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Something
we
like
can
that.
also help or prepare some data with automated scripts for UAT. Yeah, but still users should feel the system.
Yeah. Exactly. All right, I guess in the interest of time, we'll move along here, talk a little bit about the future of testing. We're two nerds who are walking around in the forest talking about test automation this Saturday, but we've got a nice little phrase that you used when we were talking about it was automation of automated testing. I really I like that, and also I like it because mm, we have a tool that can kind of help with this as well. So what do you mean by automation of automated testing? It seems to me that we're probably going to try to remove some sort of a bottleneck. So what would that be in your description?
Yeah, so I remember one story from one of the first customers that I visited on site, and we were supposed to record automated scripts, and they were quite confused because they thought that the test automation would be automatic, right? So everything will be created for them, and they just press the button, and everything will be tested. No, it's not working like that. As we know, any tool on the market requires some kind of work from us. If it comes to playwright, we need to to write the playwright code. If it comes to executive automations, we need to record the processes, the test cases. So I'm thinking that the future will bring us more solutions that will speed up
Passively.
creation of the automated tests, and will also speed up the maintenance of them. So I'm thinking of some solutions where you gather information about the business processes and turn them automatically into test cases, or things like AI in testing. So you prepare some template of a process, and then AI can automatically prepare variants for it, or negative scenarios of it, or link processes into end-to-end scenarios. So I think we will see more and more solutions that will cover things like that. They will automate the creation and maintenance of tests, will execute tests for us, and will give us also the results on a fresh email on the Monday morning. You will get information that new test cases were created, executed, and
Yeah, and that
I
will
find
one of
this.
the bottlenecks that I see working with customers every day is the the need for business users, so end users, to be a part of testing. They have to share process knowledge. They have to look at things. We were just talking about UAT testing. We want the end users to be involved in that. But as far as everyday testing needs, as much as we can reduce that need for business users, the more we can do, the better. Yeah. And I know we'll actually show something, live demonstration a little bit later on one way in which we're working on to make that the case. Yeah, I think for me, I'm really excited about AI and all of this stuff. We can talk for hours and hours about it, but yeah, it's interesting to consider when it comes to specifically applied to testing. So we're looking forward to it. All right, next, obviously, we have our tool Executive Automats for testing. We have a full Executive Automats suite for other automation in other areas of Dynamics. But with regards to testing, how can you leverage this particular testing tool to make testing easier for you in 2025? We've got things like define clear objectives. That's something that I think it's worth. It sounds so simple, but I think it's worth actually mentioning and elaborating on for just a second or so, Pavel. Defining clear objectives. Where do most people go wrong when it comes to that?
I think some people they do testing because they know that they should do the testing, right?
Yeah.
They want to do the test automation because why not? And I think that we should have the defined clear objectives, what we want to achieve with test automation, because it can be the different things. We can have the objective to increase our quality of Dynamics, or to have 100% of test automation coverage inside Dynamics. So the objectives might be different. I think the most common one is just the reducing time of testing, because when we do the testing manually, it takes weeks to
Yeah.
very often to test the whole Dynamics, especially if we have those integrations. We have right now one of the prospects with like 6 or 7 applications connected to Dynamics. So we should test all of them if we want to have the good coverage, and we want to be sure about the quality of our system. So with manual testing, it takes a lot of time. So for most of the companies, it is probably the reducing testing time, but it can be different things, like minimize the amount of errors inside Dynamic system or any other system. This can be the objective as well. So if we know the objective, it is easier later to create our testing strategy, to know what should we test, how we want to test, what types of testing we want to do. So I would start with a clear objective. So if you started your test automation, but you didn't define the objectives, I would go step back to just name them and think about I want
what are
to
we
achieve
doing?
at the end of this journey.
Yeah, what are we doing? Why are we doing it? That's
Yeah.
two key questions. Yeah. And also, you mentioned the framework, going all the way back to the framework, which needs to be flexible and needs to evolve as other things in the environment evolve. Uh, Defining these clear objectives, these objectives also need to evolve over time. So, having them clear allows you to do that. Yeah. The next couple points: assessment of existing processes. This is all of these we could actually talk about forever. Choosing the right tools, etc. For me, one thing that actually I experience all the time, and it is a key bottleneck that everybody needs to factor in whenever you're doing any kind of testing, is the collaboration with stakeholders. This is people all the way from management all the way down to end users, business users, etc. Um, there needs to be clear communication channels, clear understood responsibilities, and uh, the reason for that is that testing isn't just about, hey, does this work? In one hand, you as a tester need to give the results up the chain in a digestible format for your bosses so they can relay it to shareholders and management. But also on the downward side, you have to talk and share business process knowledge with, let's
Yeah.
say, business users. Maybe it's your SMEs, as we call them, your SMEs, subject matter experts, etc. So this is a key bottleneck that if I could raise my hand and say one thing is everybody needs to think about this
Yeah,
is
I would add one more thing here because
mhm.
you forgot about the developers. So if we are moving
Yeah, those
our
guys.
yeah, and we have our partner and they are preparing something for us.
Yep.
I remember I don't know countless situations where the testers were running tests and they were not informing the development team about it, or development team changed some things and they didn't communicate it to the testing team. So the testing team didn't modify the automated scripts accordingly to new changes, and then they run regression and it fails. There are errors in the script, some steps are failing. Yeah, so if we don't want to lose the time on things like that, on fixing things that they should be in the good communication and right shape, when we change the requirements, when developers are changing the features, they should always inform the QA team, the testers team, to modify the test cases, already existing test cases. So
Hmm.
yeah, I've seen those situations a lot of times. So it might sound silly this point, everybody knows that, but at the end of the day, many people do that wrong, right? So I think that I when I was writing my testing methodology here in X Plus, I created the whole chapter about the communication paths within our testing strategy
Yep.
and testing framework. So
Yeah, and we can
yeah,
share
this
that
is
with
really
everybody
good.
as well. Yeah, and again, the key too is it has to be a company initiative. It needs to be treated as something that, hey, we are focusing on this. Here are the people that need to be included. Here are the communication channels. Here's the responsibilities, etc. So, um, I really want to get to some of these live demonstrations we've got.
Sure. Yeah.
One thing I would want to talk about, just touch on these briefly. So we've got continuous monitoring and maintenance. You mentioned it earlier, is with your customer that you visited on site, is these test cases, first of all, they have to be created for test automation, but as things change over time, as different integrations come in and go out, third-party vendors, new consultants, new third-party firms are coming in and out. Things are going to continue to change, so maintaining test cases is critical. You can use automation though to help with some of these changes by training and knowledge sharing with
Mhm.
documentation and so on. It's something that is quite useful for most of our customers. Hey, you have a key tester who's left the company. Okay, that's not great, but the new person coming in has documentation that's very easy to read, even videos to watch with our tool, etc., where it's, hey, here's exactly what that previous person was doing. So, um, all right, so I think this is my second favorite part of this. demonstration. We have our 5.0 version of the tool coming out. We've obviously been doing automated testing since AX 2009, but now we're in D365 and we're on our fifth 5.0 version of it. And Pavel has some cool things to show for people who have seen our previous tool, previous versions. And if you're new to it, I think you'll like what you see as well. I'll set up your screen here. Pavel, give me a second.
Right. So let me share my screen. I want to show you just the brief introduction to the 5.0 version. So of course we won't go into much details about it. I just want to give you some insights and for you guys to let you know that we have full hands of work at the beginning of 2025. All right, so the 5.0 version should be ready within a week or two. So quite soon, all the customers of ours they will be able to receive this version, and of course, with new customers, we will go with this version as well. So what are the changes? What new we have? So first of all, we have dashboard, right? In previous UI, previous version of the tool, we didn't have the real main page, main tab where all the informations are gathered. So right now we will have dashboard. Right now, dashboard contains scheduler job overview, so you can show the last results from your schedulers. Also, you can see the planned executions with the scheduler, so recently executed scripts. And as you can see, those are like widgets on the dashboard. So right now we will introduce just four of them, but you can expect that with the new releases we will introduce more and more widgets that will be able to be presented on the dashboard. And of course, dashboard can be modified, so you can remove widgets, you can add more. So you can expect that we will add very, very nice, interesting things here to the dashboard. I don't want to go with every screen. In the projects, we have just minor improvements, like what I like the most, that we don't have all those tabs. I think we had 7 or something like that in the previous version. Right now, we have new tab, which is configuration. And here we have all those settings like system definition, virtual user, user groups, global access. So all the project configuration is right now in one place. Also here under the details, we have more clear view. We removed some fields, some places which were not used by our users, by our customers. So we wanted to keep this UI clean and nice like this. All right, completely new tab, which is the script utilities. And of course, the whole menu is right now on the left. I didn't mention that earlier. But this script utilities is completely new tab, which contains all the things that are useful within our scripts or steps. So here we have right now global variables, global excels, number sequences here as well, KPIs and code templates in one place. So this new UI should allow you to work easier. The tool should be even more user-friendly for you guys, because we took all those things from the settings and they are now placed under script utilities. So again, it looks more clean and nice. And the last thing that I want to show you today from the 5.0 version is scheduler. And scheduler was rebuilt a bit. Right now, with this 5.0 version, we don't have this selection between Gantt and simple scheduler. Right now, no matter which scheduler you will create, you are able to display your scope, your scripts from the flow in 2 ways. On a simple view, like a table, where you can give a sequence for those scripts, increase the repeat count or things like that. But there is also the flow chart, which allows you to show your scripts on a timeline. But as you can see, we have no timeline anymore because we resigned from the classical Gantt scheduler to the flow chart. Because we had struggles with, especially with performance testing, when we were executing a lot of scripts at the same time. And with the Gantt schedulers, they were supposed to run at the selected time and date. And very often we had problems with tailoring it to start every script at the right time. Right now, it can be achieved much more easier because every script is just a separate block here, and under the quick details, you are able to delay your execution. So you can delay your execution by 2 minutes, and when we save, I know that this script will start 2 minutes after the start date and time of the whole scheduler. So with this, you have full control when different scripts on your flowchart will start running. So it should be even more user-friendly than the Gantt schedulers. Right, on the script list, we don't have much changes. The only thing what I want to show you is when you create new script, we have options like create and record, so you can immediately start recording during the script creation. Also here we have some nice changes where you can play or record your scripts from any place. So even if you switch the details, you can quickly click play or record. So those buttons are always on the top. I think we are okay. The last thing about the 5.0 version is that the 5.0 version is faster than the version 4. So here I have the very standard free text invoice posting script. It took even 30 seconds to run the script. So depends on the process, depend on the amount of steps you will see, especially our customers. You will see that the time is really low right now to run some scripts, run some processes. For some scripts, it is even 2 times faster to execute scripts with 5.0 version. So this will be the change.
All right, let me pop back over here. There we go. Awesome. And now we talked about this a little bit before when we mentioned automating test automation. This is something, this tool, our Executive Automats for Discovery tool, it's synergetic with our other Executive Automats tools in the suite, like the testing tool or the security tool. Basically, it's a way to passively observe what your end users are doing in your testing or in your Dynamics environment, and use that information in many different ways, using some AI, some machine learning, and of course just our knowledge that we know from being an implementation partner for over 20 years now in Dynamics. So if you want to share your screen on that, Pavel, and kind of take us through it a little bit.
Sure.
And of course, we'll talk about it mostly with regards to testing, but there are many different things that you can do with this this particular tool and its capabilities.
So let's share the screen again. And just exactly like Jack said, this second tool of ours, Executive Automats for Discovery, monitors your user activities inside the system and save those activities, and you can later review that. And as you may think, because you can select all of your users which you want to monitor, or just a group of users that you would like to monitor, but no matter how many users you select, when you monitor your activities inside Dynamics, it gives you a lot of very useful data. But this is just the first part of the tool, and I will switch to the events and I will show you how it looks. So inside the tool, I have the activities tab. Now I can select some periods of time And when I will click search, I have the view of every action that my users did at the selected time. So I can see that my AWX test user 1, of course, I have presentation environment, so I use the test user here, selected the US001 to field account. And on the right side, we have all the information, what exactly he did. All right, so here I know that he was on all customers table. So now I can see the business context. So I know he opened the US001 customer from the whole table of all customers. So you may ask, what can we do with this kind of data? Quite a lot, because first of all, you can see all the errors that happen. So very quickly, you can find out the root causes of some recurring errors or problems with your Dynamics. That's the first thing. We use that tool also to support our customers. So when they report back to us, we can see what exactly happened and how to reproduce steps to do the bug. But this is just the beginning, because of course we can monitor all the clicks, all the typings of our users inside Dynamics. But this is just the easy part. The more interesting part is the discovery part of this tool. Because let's move to the dashboard, and what you will see here, come on.
It wouldn't be a live demonstration without a little bit of lag, right?
Yeah. I got used to that, so that's fine. All right. I just needed maybe to click again on it. All right. And what's interesting you can see here. First of all, we have very nice statistics. So we can see what forms are used the most by our users. We can see which users spend the most time in our dynamic system. Also, we can see what kind of events are usually done in the system. So here we can see types, clicks, or errors. So if you have a lot of errors in your Dynamics, you would see that. So you may not know, especially when you have a lot of users, like 1,000 users, how many errors they are facing on everyday life. With this kind of tool, you will see that. So you can react, you can do something about it. But let's go to the most important thing. But because we use some machine learning and some AIPs to take all those activities, all those clicks, typings done by our users within Dynamics, and those algorithms, they can find out start and the end of real business processes and name those processes and kind of discover that our users within all those activities, they are executing exactly those processes. So for me as a tester, it is a big deal. First of all, at the top 10 processes, I can see which processes are the mostly executed in the system. So probably I should focus on them during the testing, right? But this is not the best part. The best part is that we have 104 processes found in the system. So let's see them. Under the discovery and patterns, I can see what processes our tool found within Dynamics and named them. So I can see we have settled customer payments and invoices. It was executed 219 times by my users. So let's see what do we have inside. So our tool discovered that on this Dynamics environment, users are executing this kind of process. And here we have even amount of every execution because we have this data. We have this data in activities. So every execution that users do for every process will be saved. So I will show you how execution looks. But what is interesting, I can see we have 219 executions in 218 variants and executed by 10 users within the Dynamics application. So as you can see, each time this process was executed slightly different. So tool doesn't get lost. even if users will do process in a slightly different manner. And you can see it here. We have exactly the variants, the executions of this process. And here you can see average number of steps. So for we have execution of this process with 12 steps and with 100 even, with 40 steps. So only that can be useful for any process optimization, right? You can see that some ways to do the process are more efficient. Of course, here on the graph we have the maybe let's open one of them. We have the graphic representation of the process, so we can see where user started, when he went, what fields and buttons he used. But the more important is below, especially for the testing, because today we are focusing on the testing. So from the testing perspective, it is possible that I can show those variants as the executions. So let's open one, maybe the one with 41 steps. All right. And right now, I can see all the steps that user did to execute this process inside Dynamics. So for me as a tester, as an automation tester, it looks more or less like an automated script. So of course, it wouldn't be us if we didn't integrate our tools together. So of course, we have that option. So process like this, instead of getting recorded, it was discovered, it was gathered based on the user activities, and now we can export it to the script, and then we can import it. I will use the previous version of Executive Automats because I have some scripts already imported, and I don't want to lose the time on the importing. So as you can see, script which was exported from Discovery tool, and now can be imported as automated test for us. We can play it, we can manipulate with the steps. Of course, we can add the verification step, remove some duplicates if we have them, because user might click twice at something. So, of course, after uploading this kind of recording, it is good to make some review of the process, but instead of getting recorded, instead of involving business users to get the recordings, we can just ask them, hey, do your processes like you usually do on the production, and the steps of some of the processes will be gathered for you. So this is just the first thing around the testing, because we are working on one more thing, and I have like 2 minutes to tell you about it, because we need some time for the questions as well. So right now, we had this option to create scripts based on the processes, but we want to go even further. And we already mentioned automation of test automation. And we are trying different approaches. And right now, this feature that I'm showing you, day in a life test, is more kind of prototype for us. We are checking different things, but we just want you to know what we are doing, what we want to achieve. And this option allows you to select the period of time. So you can take last 7 days, or you can take yesterday, to find out every activity that was done at the selected time. So during one day, like 24 hours, users probably executed some processes, they did some clicks, some typings inside the system. So I can take every activity that users did, and within the Discovery tool, we have built-in runner which can execute those activities on our Dynamics environment. So I can run this day in a life test. It will replicate every activity that user did in the system, and it will give me the results. And based on those results, now I can update my Dynamics environment to the one version, for example. So we can take another version, bring back the database to the database from the selected period, and run it again. and see the differences. So first of all, if you don't have time and money for test automation, this kind of feature might be the first step for you to at least automate some testing, because those activities, they will be executed again, and you will see what happened, how many of those activities were possible to be executed. And of course, if you see the differences, you have very clear view on which test cases you should focus on your regular regression testing, on your regular test execution. So maybe if a lot of scripts from activities from sales department, sales area failed, they cannot be replicated, it means that, okay, I should focus in my regression more on the sales processes. So, like I mentioned, this is something that we are working on. You can expect some news from our side around the discovery tool, because this tool is evolving all the time. And that will be all from my side for now. I hope you liked it. Right. Thank you, everyone, for joining. So right now we have some time for the questions. I can see we have one from Jonathan. Is this the discovery tool is a separate license from the testing automation suite, or do both tools come together? So tools are separated, so they have separated licenses. But of course, we have some offers which can connect together both tools, and in some kind of bundle or package of the tools. All right. Do we have any else? Still have a few minutes, so do not hesitate. If you have also some feedback to share, feel free to do so. Of course, if you would like to contact us, you can visit our page, executiveautomats.com, and there is a contact form, so you can leave your details here, and we will contact you and give you more details about every tool that we have in our offer. Okay, we have another question. Does the discovery tool also work on custom tables for identifying activities? Yes, it works also with customs, with notifications inside Dynamics, so it can monitor all the activities inside D365. Very nice questions. Do you like this kind of idea with discovery tool? How do you think about it? You can give us also some thoughts, your thoughts on this topic, on the webinar itself. Right, let's wait for a while. Okay, I can see we have no more questions. So thank you again for joining us today. Join our next webinars. Stay tuned. We will post more information about Discovery Tool, our changes in Executive Automats as well. And feel free to contact us through the web page. See you. Take care.